cares about subjective reviews?
Yeah, who
Who
cares?
cares?
Who cares?
Bunch of idiots talking. Oh, it sounded warm.
Oh man,
last time
Warm
I
and
heard
fuzzy.
it, it was like somebody heated up butter in the microwave and poured it on me once it got a little bit cool. That's so
All
weird, man.
all right.
Oh god.
That was the best one, Eric.
I've never used
I
that
love
in my
this guy.
review, but you know, can I borrow that? 'Cause
Yeah,
that sounded really
you
good.
can Steve Gutenberg that one all you want.
That sounded good.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just gonna make it an adverb. So, keeping up with the Joneses, he knows where this is coming from. I just recently did a review of an OSD's like ceiling speaker. And basically, I just took the time, I unboxed it, and I did a quick measurement just to kind of get an idea. Nobody does any measurements of in ceiling speakers, so I figured me just
Why
doing
not?
a measurement
Be something different.
would be good enough, right? But of course, I have some people like, well, you should get a thing where you measure 10 degrees. I'm like, well, all right. So you know how it is, Aaron.
Yeah.
No matter how much you do, somebody's gonna ask you for something a little bit more,
always,
which is okay.
always.
That's okay. That's fine.
It's fine until they start to feel entitled, and then it's like, all right, you're getting all this stuff that I'm busting my butt on for free. Like you haven't donated. You're giving me every time you watch a video and an ad runs, I'm getting 2 cents. So thanks a lot for your 2 cents, literally.
Yeah.
You know?
So anyway, this guy commented basically saying like, hey man, you just basically said they make music and they're not flat. I'm like, well, that's pretty much, I mean, I'm being nice.
Yes.
I'm being nice, right? That's actually what's going on. I can't say like, man, these are the best speakers I've ever heard. Like, what do you want me to say?
Right.
Like, do you really want me to make it sound like, you know what, the experience, I sat down and I started realizing that, in this song, I started drifting off to some other space. I'm like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. So here's the thing though, is I do remember the time. I don't know if you guys remember, but do you remember when you were younger, like reading the magazines and just kind of not knowing how any of this stuff sounded? And so you read it and it like gets you excited, like, oh man, is that really that good? Yeah. Like compared to what I have right now, is it just really going to transport me? Even the ads, all the stuff, kind of, there was some mysticism to it. You know what I mean?
I was showered with music.
it kind of makes you, feel like whatever you have right now, there's a whole level that you have not even come close to experiencing.
Yeah.
But what I said was, after a while, you start actually hearing all the stuff that's supposed to sound so amazing, so crazy, and it sounds good. Don't get me wrong, but it just sounds good. I mean, it sounds like a little bit better than your other speakers, but it's not like that's marketing. All the other stuff is marketing,
right?
And I think that some of these guys actually want that. They want to be sold something, and so when we're there, when they see Aaron just like reading off specs, they're like, he's not selling me.
Just tell me
this guy's hating on my speakers. Why are you hating?
I just bought these. I actually already bought them. I just came to watch a bunch of videos on all the people that saying that they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then here's this guy showing me measurements and stuff like that. That's not what I want.
I don't want to hear that. I was about to buy these. Now I'm like, hey,
the strange thing is when they do buy them and then they're like, man, I just ordered these or I just got them and I can't wait for your review. And I'm like, what does my review have anything to do with you already buying the speakers?
Yeah. Unless I can see it if they think like you might give them some insight or some thought. Like if it's a piece of electronics or something that maybe
they're talking about
setting that they weren't aware of. Yeah, then I got nothing for that. Man.
I don't get that.
I got nothing for that. Yeah.
Did you hear them? Did you listen to them? Do you like the brand? Do you like the way they typically sound?
Yeah, I think like if you like it, if you like it, then you shouldn't let somebody else deter you from liking it. But maybe
100%
the education of like trying to understand what it is that you like about it, or maybe a reviewer points you in the direction, they say something like, oh, that is one thing I don't like. Oh, there's an explanation for why I don't like that. Cool. Let me find out more about this thing.
Croson nailed it. That's it right there.
Like, do you want me to lie to you? I think some of these people really just want me to kind of tell them a story. And this is my response. As I said, everybody likes a good story, right?
Yeah.
We all talk about movies. Yeah. And so we understand like there's that aspect of like, I don't want to just look at specs. Sometimes, a nice story, that's how humans kind of like to ingest information, right? So maybe I took it as more like maybe we could do a better job of taking the information and making more human, I guess, right? Interpreting and making it a little bit more interesting. So that's a thing. So I don't mind a good story if it's based on reality, right? But don't tell me some crazy story based on like nothing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these guys they tell the best stories and they're just wrong. So what's the point of that, right? You tell me all this beautiful stuff, and it's like, dude, that's not what the speakers are doing. That's not how they measure. You know, if it was all based on Aaron's measurements and they made it beautiful and like poetry, yeah, I'm gonna watch that too.
I said it best. Lie to us, bro. Lie to us.
Lie to us, bro. Exactly right.
Omo is in the house, ladies and gentlemen, and he says I can't read subjective reviews anymore. It's too upsetting. It's funny, like people always talk about DACs, right? Digital to analog converters, and like if you can hear the difference between that. I can't.
No,
I can't. I just know that what some people say is that these are more clinical, these are more musical, whatever. So if I'm looking at DACs because I'm doing a lot of headphone stuff and I want portable DACs and stuff. So I go to Audio Science Review. Because he measures it all out and he's like, oh, I can highly recommend this one due to A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Cool.
Right.
I will buy that because I won't hear the difference, but at least I know it's better than, like, if I was choosing between two, I'm like, okay, this one is better than that one. Or I have the Apogee Groove, which is a portable one that I'm using now. I'm like, oh, maybe I want to step up to something. I'm like, oh, so I found something that he has measured that is a bit better. So, I'm like, oh, hey, THX, send me this. I want to check it out, which they are sending. So, but
quick shout out.
In situations where it's like trying to describe something, like perfect example. I grew up accidental audiophile, right? Dad had Bang & Olufsen, Nakamichi. When I was sitting down and like 6-7 years old, starting to play piano and stuff like that, do you think he was telling me, hey, do you hear that chocolatey bottom end?
Right. Right.
Do you hear the sparkles in the?
That just sounds bad.
No. Yeah, no, definitely.
What's a chocolatey bottom end, man?
Did somebody just have ribs or something? They got the mud. I don't know. Anyway, so he was saying to me, do you hear how he's playing the congas? Right? Do you hear how they're playing the piano? Did you hear how they're playing the guitar? If you want to be a musician, you got to play like that. And I'll give you 2 minutes to warm up. And this is what my dad would tell me, right? To get me to like, get off my ass and like play the music. So like, it was never, I'm hearing the gear through the music is what a lot of audiophiles always say, right? No, we're listening to the music. That's how I was trained, to listen to the music. So coming up with all these like flowery words to describe what you're hearing, it can be like I know the speakers I'm looking at are very expensive and they look cool. They're going to sound great. Are they going to measure flat? Probably not. I already know that, but I'm okay with that. And so like, maybe that's what their situation is. Maybe they're like, I like the way these look. From what I heard, I liked what I heard at the store or at the trade show or whatever, don't harsh my buzz, Joe.
I think what they want us to say, right? So I'm wound up over here. I think what they want me to say is that, hey, these don't measure flat and they're the best speakers I've ever heard. And this and that's happening. That's what they want me to say. I think they want me to kind of deviate from what the measurements are actually telling me. And that doesn't really happen. What ends up happening is if something measures extremely well, you can bet that the experience is going to be very good as well. Right. I mean, that's basically it. So
more often than not.
Does that make it not exciting? It still makes it exciting, right? So what I said is I get excited when I hear a great product, right? So if let's say you have a product that's coming in at a very low price point and it's very, very flat, good off axis, it hits down gets really low and they're very affordable. Well, that's exciting. Now more people can have that experience, right? So this guy says, you forgot where you came from. No, it's not that. It's that, first of all, people are coming to us for reviews and they want to know what's better, right? So we're going to try to tell them this is better than this, make recommendations. But I mean, it's exciting if the products are really good. But how can I get excited about something that's mediocre?
Yeah. I agree, man.
Croson had a perfect analogy here. Dude, I knew someone that could play the guitar 100% technically accurate. His playing just sounded soulless. So strange. I knew he hit every single note perfectly. So here we have a situation where speaker could be flat, completely flatten everything you're looking for, and then also not sound good. Right?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
So you're saying where's the magic part, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Kinda
just up to the person, really.
Up to the music that you're listening
Well,
to?
I think it's up to the person listening. You know, what they go
okay.
into it with the expectation of. So the majority of people are going to prefer a neutral sound because you don't have to be trained. You can be just any average Joe off the street, and you're probably you can kind of tell like this. I don't like that, you know. But for one thing, there is no speaker that is perfect. So that's the problem. Is a lot of people talk about, well, you guys, you know, you want objective measurements and the perfect speaker. But there's no speaker that's completely perfect. There's all give and take, especially if you want high SPL. If you want high SPL, that's a totally different ball game. I mean, you need multiple drivers and the crossover integration, and that's a whole different ball game.
Right,
There is no speaker that's perfect. So once we can get past that, then we can start moving toward, okay, well, what about the speaker that I like? You know, how does it measure? Now I have a reference. Now I can take that information and I can go apply it to other things that measure similarly, and I can say, okay, even if I don't prefer the standard of flat on-axis response, I do know what I prefer. This is what I prefer. This thing measures roughly the same way. I'm probably going to like this speaker too. Let me buy that based off an educated decision. And that's really what it boils down to, is just education. That's it. That's all there is to it. Just understanding.
Why this group is so good is because, Michael, you tend to do more subjective stuff, right?
That's
and
correct.
people like it. People like your reviews. And so, I mean, we're not like, you know, telling you, hey, man, you're totally wrong in what you're doing. You need to do it this way. It's kind of like everybody watches who they like to watch, and that's fine. You know, for me, I think I can learn from something from you, and I think people do find that more entertaining. So how do we take what Aaron's doing and kind of like, what's an in between then? What's an in between space for that?
I mean, to me, I think that the good thing is, and some people look at it as, you know, I can't believe that, you know, there's so many reviewers reviewing the same product. That's just dumb. No, it's not dumb, because I'm going to probably give you a more subjective type of review. I'm not pulling out a Clipple. I don't have that kind of tool, but Aaron can. And so I think it's awesome that you can get both sides of the spectrum just by watching, you know, as many reviews as you can.
Well, and let me jump in real fast.
You're going to see some common ground there.
Yeah, and I'll just add this. You make a good point. Watch as many reviews as you can. If you're about to buy something, you don't watch one review and then go off. If you do, you're probably not making the smartest decision. So anyway, I just want to throw that in there real fast.
Yeah, and I don't want somebody basing, you know, I mean, I honestly, I hate it when somebody says, I'm waiting to hear your review before I buy this. I'm thinking, no, that's not what
evil on me.
Yeah, that's not what you need to be doing. You need to be doing your research. Dog, this thing is wanting to fall.
Yeah.
Can I just say this is like,
no, you can't.
Okay.
Nope.
Go ahead. You're on vacation. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I forgot now. That's it. It probably wasn't that important.
Well,
I remember what so I think what it is I think a lot of times people feel like they might not understand the measurements, and so it makes you feel dumb. I don't want to say it in a rude way, but it's like, I don't understand that. So this guy's probably full of it. He's probably making stuff up. You know, so. I watch this other guy and everything makes perfect sense. So he's right. That guy's right.
Yeah. So maybe it's just they relate better to the flowery words than they do the graph on the screen, because they're like, what does this mean?
Yeah. Which ironically, the flowery words can mean numerous things to numerous people.
I think
that's stuff on the screen.
That's the hardest thing.
That's it.
Is when I guess it's one thing, you know, like I try to share what I experience, not so much like because I feel bad when I can't use the flowery words because I don't have it's hard to vocabulary.
It's hard to describe sound without using some of those default words. Yeah, I agree.
What I tend to describe is, what am I experiencing? Like, what does this make me feel when I'm watching this movie and stuff's happening and the atmos is kicking in? Like, what did that do? Did I get excited? Did it feel like I was there, or did I feel kind of like I was looking at the screen and I was hearing speakers? Those types of things. But again, everybody's going to approach that differently. And part of the reason why I don't do huge measurements is because I just don't have that background and I don't have that experience, you know, yet. Will I add that later on down the road? Yeah. I never thought I'd take any measurements with REW. And now I do some. I don't do a lot, but I have incorporated some of that into my reviews because some people ask, like, "Hey, man, I'd love to see, how is this thing down to 20 hertz?" Well, at the time, I didn't know. Like, man, this thing slams. That's all I knew.
Yeah, I like we always say, we've all been in sales. Well, Michael, you and I have been in sales before.
Yeah.
And when I try to sell something, when I try to sell something, I'm trying to sell off emotion. So I will, try to, I'm not going to get very technical. That's like a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I'm not trying to sell people anything.
Right.
When I'm doing a review, I'm doing a review. I'm not trying to sell somebody on something. I could get people to click on that link way more by saying something else. I know how to do it. It's not hard. Right?
Absolutely.
They always say people buy based on emotion and justify with their logic, right? But I want people to use their logic to make good purchasing decisions, and then hopefully emotionally afterwards they're happy.
They're happy,
right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think you guys have said it before, but I mean, if somebody's going to make a purchase decision, I know Chana's mentioned this before. If somebody's going to make a purchase decision based off of our review, then I want to feel good about what I'm saying in the video.
And I think that goes back to sometimes people criticize us because they'll say, why do you typically say good things about products? Well, I don't review a product that I think is going to be garbage to begin with. I'm not wasting my time. I get a lot of emails every single week that say, "Hey, I just told somebody today, I said, can you just take me off your email list? Because I really have no desire to review any of your products." So that's the type of thing. So now, we are going to get some stuff in that isn't going to work. Well, guess what? We're going to share with you about that. At least, these 4 guys right here. We're going to tell you what doesn't work, what sounds good. I mean, John, he'll tell you this sucks, and that's okay. I would rather let you know as a consumer the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you decide if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people said they still, even after my review of the Emotiva RMC1 that had a bunch of bugs, when I reviewed it, they still went out and bought it. You know why? Because they had enough information and they said, this is good enough for me. I can deal with the bugs as long as it sounds good. They'll fix those at some point in time, And so we just try to give you as much facts as we can, and as much details as we can, and let you, the consumer, decide whether or not that's a good fit for your setup.
Yeah.
So to put this to rest, I want to put this kind of to rest as much as possible.
Put the nail in the coffin, man.
Put the nail in the coffin. So here's the deal, right? I want to make sure that I'm very clear. If we were to talk about why something is visually appealing, right? Oh, that's hard to measure. Like, what are you going to use for measurements? Well, this is very symmetrical.
It's sexy.
This is using golden ratio. How are you going to say whether something looks good? That's hard, right? Because that's the thing with something that's like art, right? Yeah. It's hard to be objective about that sort of stuff. And that's what I think a lot of people think that we're supposed to do when we're reviewing audio products is they want to see the artistic part, like where's, when you mix and match this, the synergy, and what have you created here, right? And I think there is some aspect to that, but a lot of it is just measurable, right? A lot of the stuff that really matters, that makes a huge difference, is actually just measurable. So why are we going to talk about it as if it's art when it's science? There's a lot of science. Once you get past all of that, okay, now we can talk about how does it look? Well, I like the way the focals look, so I'm gonna buy those. They measure the same as this other one, but I like the way they look. All right.
Or they measure worse, but I like the way they look.
And they fit better in the space kind of thing.
I think if you're comparing reviews and reviewers, you would probably understand, like, this person here likes their sound like this. This person over here likes this kind of a sound. Like some people want a more forward sounding vocals. Somebody wants more laid back. Somebody wants more bass. Somebody wants more bids. Like, and depending on, like, I've seen my room add more bass to the speakers than what I see on the graph. So, it's one of those things. If your reviewer, and like my wife is like, let's get rid of these carpets and put hardwood floors. I'm like, you are going to change my entire situation. Yeah. Like, this is not going to get to happen.
Yeah. That's a good point too. I mean, even in my about me video, like when you go to my YouTube page, the first video that auto plays, I talk about, I do measurements and this is the sound I like, because to me, those are two important things. And if people will complain at my videos sometimes, which has rarely happened, but sometimes I'll get somebody and I'm like, do you not know, like, my goal here, I even stated, is it's measurement driven. Like, I always listen to everything because I started out listening to stuff, right? Everybody's got 2 ears. Well, most of us except for Van Gogh. But I always listen to music, and then I just try to correlate it. That's the goal.
One speaker, one brain,
and one mic. So yeah, for me, the goal is simply to provide education, you know, and that's why, like, people are saying, don't worry about testing crappy speakers. But for me, I try to find cheaper stuff that will measure, you know, and sound pretty decent, because then you can kind of get an idea of, well, I've got $100 and this is all I can afford because I've been there. I've been there for a long time. Absolutely. You know, so I want to try to find stuff that can get you in the door, you know, get your foot in the door to the hi-fi realm. But it's hard, man.
So basically the goal is not to persuade you. I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to give people information so they can make better decisions for them.
Information. That's the same. That's what a reviewer should do. A reviewer 100%. Should provide education, whether it's based purely on subjective, you know, and they're upfront about it. Hey, this is what I heard, and this is generally what I like. Or, hey, I'm just doing measurements and that's the only thing I'm doing. Or I'm trying to do a mixture of both and I'm doing my best to help you with that information. Just whatever. But that's the goal, is to try to educate. You know, it shouldn't be to try to sell you a product or on a product. That if somebody's doing that, you shouldn't be watching them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is. He can drop the mic now.
Boom.
Two mics.
It.
Cool.